Officer. Chairing the Veterans Committee, Patty Murray. Agriculture Committee from the great state of Michigan, Debbie Stabenow. We've come a long way since the first woman congresswoman from the state of Minnesota, a woman named Koya Knudsen. She gets to Washington. She's doing a great job. Her husband's back home. Her opponents get him drunk. This is a true story. They get him to write a note that says, Koya, come home. I need you basically to clean the house. They send it to the newspaper, and she loses. That happened in my state in the 1950s. So we have come a long way, but not far enough. I was reminded on the Judiciary Committee, Diane and I, the only women, and in the middle of that debate over Elena Kagan, there she is, Solicitor General of the United States, Senator Coburn of Oklahoma, is badgering her and claiming that we are less free than we were 30 years ago. It's my turn to go next. I got a bunch of legal questions. I throw them out. I start Googling on the BlackBerry and I say, Solicitor General Kagan, 30 years ago, do you know what the #1 song was? She says, I don't know. I said, Call Me by Blondie, okay? Then I said, do you know how many women were in the United States Senate 30 years ago? She says, no. I said, 1. Do you know how many women were on this Judiciary Committee 30 years ago? Picture it, all the nominees coming up, answer, 0. And how many women were on the United States Supreme Court 30 years ago? And she said this answer, which is 0. So I turned to the rest of the committee and looked at Senator Coburn, and I said, Senator Coburn, you know what? Freedom is in the eyes of the beholder. Senators that are up for election. You know how important that is to make sure they all come back? And then we have 5 amazing challengers that are going to win. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. Nancy Hirono of Hawaii. Shelley Berkeley of Nevada. Tony Heitkamp of North Dakota. And Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. You know what? When Lilly Ledbetter came before Congress, Nancy Pelosi, I heard her give a great speech. She led that in the House. You know who led it in the Senate? Senator Barbara Mikulski. And you know what she said to all of us? We stood in the back room. I thought, this is what it was like in those early days. She's so short. She stands on a couch and she says, you know what? Suit up, square your shoulders, put your lipstick on, and get ready for a revolution. And the hospitals across the country cutting the funding for cervical cancer, for breast exam. It was the women of the Senate who stood up and said, no, enough is enough. We will not negotiate away women's health. And we won. When they held that hearing in the House, remember with those 5 men holding that hearing on women's contraception issues? The women of the House, the Democratic women of the House stood up, and have you seen them hold another hearing like that? No, because we won, all right? We won. And when the Violence Against Women Act came up before the United States Senate, I led all the women to the floor, and pretty soon we didn't just have Democratic women Senate, we had Republican women senators, and in the end, every single woman senator voted for the Violence Against Women Act, and we passed it in the end. And when the Affordable Health Care Act was up, and they were debating it in the Finance Committee, this is my favorite story of all time. Debbie Stabenow sitting there on that committee, it's a little boring, it's going on and on. All of a sudden, the senator from Arizona, Republican, he said, you know, I don't know why we would need maternity care. And that list of benefits, I never used it. She started, you know what Debbie Stabenow did? She didn't miss the beat. She looked across the table at him and she said, I bet your mother did. Our sisters and our daughters. That's what this is about. So when you leave this week, you're going to get so many good ideas and you're going to hear from so many great people. But when you get home, you have to reach out. You have to reach out to other women to find that common ground, to independent women, to Republican women, and you keep your expectations high. My daughter's 17 right now. When she was about 6 years old, she was home playing with dolls one day with a girl that was a little older. I walked by her room, and I heard the older girl to say to her, well, one day I'm going to have a baby just like this doll. And I thought, what is my daughter going to say? She's 6 years old. She looks at her and she says, well, I'm going to have a baby one day too, but not for a long, long time, because you can't have a baby until you run for office and win an election.